I'm talking today to Neil Napier. He's actually a long time associate. I've known him for nearly a decade now, or maybe even more. And I've seen him grow from an entrepreneur who had dreams to somebody who actually realized them. He has multiple, million dollar products. And he's like, I know about some of them, like MailVio and KyVio. You might have actually used them. MailVio is a very popular autoresponder, and KyVio is a funnel builder, page builder. So he's got a lot of products like that. He's a serial entrepreneur who's done multiple products, brought them to the market successfully, and turned them into profitable businesses. And the best news is he's 100% bootstrapped. So Neil, if I'm not wrong, you've never accepted funding till now. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Absolutely. So all of the businesses that he built it all by himself, mostly by creating buzz in the market or creating a drive in the market to sell them organically or through affiliate traffic. And he's been extremely successful at that. And today we want to talk to Neil and understand how he's built up this amazing business. And maybe he can share some tricks and tips for the rest of us, and we can learn from him. So welcome, Neil, to the podcast.
Thanks. No, really happy to be here. I'm excited about what we can talk about today.
Awesome. So Neil, let's get started. I did introduce you. I tried to be comprehensive, but let me hear it from you. How did you get started? What brought you into the world of technology? And I know you are a non-technical person, and that actually is a lot of my audience, people who are not programmers or technologists themselves, but who want to break into this either through marketing or through product development. And they would be very interested to hear how you were able to break into this, sphere.
So for me, it was actually more of a necessity back in the day. I don't come from an entrepreneurial background. None of my family members are entrepreneurial. In fact, if anything, that was kind of looked down upon, like you should have a steady job. I think even 5 years into my business, my parents were still like, what if it doesn't work out? So for me, it was a necessity because at that time, back in 2010, I was living in England and I was going to renew my visa to continue living there. But they changed the rules overnight and they changed income requirements. And suddenly I didn't qualify anymore. So I was in a mastermind with some people at that time for personal development, and they told me like, hey, if you want to make some extra money, you could do content writing. So at that time, there were tools like Freelancer, and Upwork was called something else. And I used those to first get writing gigs. And then I got into copywriting because that would pay better. And for quite a while, I did a lot of copywriting. I also tried a few other things. I tried cold calling for other people and, many different sorts of things. So doing copywriting, I realized that I was writing copy for these people that were taking what I had written and they turned that into like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And I was like, hey, I'd like to do that. So it was more of for me, an opportunity that I came across, and I was like, okay, if I just apply myself to it, I should be able to crack it. So initially started from copywriting, then I started networking with people such as yourself as well. And then I met Karthik. Karthik is a good friend of mine. He has a really good software development team based out of India. So he was like, yeah, Neil, I've got this really good product if you want to kind of help me bring it to market. So we did. And I mean, that one did really well. And then I did that with a few other people. So that's what I've been doing. Initially, I started by just helping other people market their products. But then once I had a bit of cash, once I could hire developers myself, I built a team in the house and we did more of our products, such as KyVio as well. So it's been a journey, certainly. And I think, like I said, for a lot of people, these things are something they're destined to do, or these things are things that they always wanted to do. For me, it was like I had no other choice. I had to do this. So that's how it went for me.
That's amazing. And I can tell you, this is the story that I've heard from so many people, and it has some parallels to mine too. When I started my journey, it was as a developer. So you were working as a copywriter for someone. And from my side, I was working as a developer for somebody, and I made a product for him. And I saw him do hundreds of thousands of dollars just like you did. And it inspired me to create something on my own. And then, of course, I partnered with some people, and that's how I got started. Pretty much the same story. And I've heard that happen to a lot of entrepreneurs who start out as something with a different objective. Maybe they just want to make some money on the side, or they're just trying to solve a problem that is right now. For example, you were trying to solve the visa problem, and they come across a business model that they didn't expect to. And this is amazing because it tells you that there are more ways to succeed than you can grasp. The only thing is you have to be there to grab the opportunity. So I'm glad it worked out so well for you. And I know Karthik, he's an amazing guy, and I've worked with him too. So I know that he has a great team. So now your team at this time.
Yeah, so we have a team of people. We've got a team of about 25 people at the moment. And not all of them are developers, some of them are, but others are support agents. And now I have my own copywriters and so on.
Now you have 100% in-house team, and you have, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's 100% remote team too. Is that right?
It is, yes, that's correct.
I want to find out from you, how do you manage a remote team? Because that's a challenge that many entrepreneurs face. On my channel too, we have small entrepreneurs who's trying to recruit people online to get things done. And having a remote team is one of the challenges. That's something, that they have trouble, getting over. So what's your strategy to make that happen?
So it's kind of interesting because when the COVID happened and when everyone was kind of forced to go remote, I was like joking with my wife that like I was made for this, like I was born for this, in the sense that we've been doing it since we started. So for us, I guess in many ways it was easier because we never had those constraints that a physical location brings. I mean, it's good to have an office. I think there's something to be said about synergy of working together. I miss that, I do. But then we were never really built like that, so it was always remote for us. So it's been easier in that way for me than someone starting to do that now. I admit that, but I think it is still possible to work remotely or to hire remotely. And the key things that work for us is that we have a very sort of clear company values written down, and anyone who joins our company reads them, that they kind of go through them. And the idea there is that they understand that they align with them. If they don't, they can challenge it, that's fine. But if they do align with them, then whatever they do has to abide by it, including what we do as well. So in that sense, our values kind of keep us bound together as a team. That's the first thing. The second thing is that after a while, we realized that we had a certain company culture. And sometimes people would come in and they didn't embody the same culture, but they sounded good on paper otherwise, they had the right skills, but they didn't embody the culture. So we decided to, before hiring, do a couple of tests, one of them specifically for a culture fit test. And honestly, that, our own team did that test and it gave us a benchmark. And based on that, we realized that we don't want to hire people that don't culturally fit with us. And one of the examples of that is like communication. I think it's such a disappointment to hire someone who's extremely good at what they do, but they can't communicate with you. They can't communicate. They can't give you updates. They can't tell you where they're stuck. They just kind of like either go all in or all out. So we found a way to weed those kind of people out very quickly. So for us, I think the reason the way remote hiring, remote management has worked really well is because we thoroughly test the people that we bring in, not just for the hard skills that they have, but for the soft skills and personality types as well.
That's a great tip. I can say culture fit is very important, especially for growing organizations, especially for bootstrapped and startup companies who don't have hundreds of employees. You have a culture, and I think that identifies your company more than anything else. Now, I want to ask you another follow-up question to this.
Sure.
Like, I have seen people struggle with not just hiring, but firing too. So many times, like you said, you onboard a person who's not a fit for your company. And I know I have personally struggled with firing people because I know there's a lot at stake, not just from my side, but from their side too. How do you handle this? And what's your strategy about firing? Do you believe in the adage that says, you should hire early, and if you feel that the person should be fired, the first instance you have that thought you should be firing them? Or do you have a different school? I want to hear about that too.
I mean, on that, I'll be honest, I don't think I've done exceptionally well. Like, I have also failed in ways that you have failed because I care about the people that I hire. Like, I get to know them and, I feel a sense of responsibility to give them a job, to keep them occupied. So sometimes I've even strung along someone for 6 months longer than they should have been at our company. And I think it's also down to because we don't have a very robust hiring system. Like, we are still a small company. We don't have someone in the team always looking for someone new to fill positions. So if I do have to let someone go, getting someone new will take a couple of months at the very least. And, so because of that reason, I feel I haven't done an exceptionally good job. But what has helped me, though, is having a set of KPIs, so key performance indicators. And it's helped me because if you create a benchmark about, let's say, if the people in the design team, for example, and each person in the design team gets a score out of 100, which you can quantifiably calculate based on what they deliver, how they work, and multitude of other things. If you get that score, and if you notice that someone's score is declining consistently over a course of 2 or 3 months, then that's pretty much a signal to let them go. Because in the past, like I said, I've kept people on because I was like, no, maybe they'll get better, maybe they'll improve, maybe they're just going through something, and yeah, maybe they are, but it does have an effect on our business. So for us, what has helped is quantifiably determine how effective someone is being in our company, and if the impact is on a downtrend, if it's reducing, and if they're not working with us to fix it, then that's the time to let them go. So for us, KPIs have helped us to have a more objective realization of whether or not to keep people on.
Yeah, I see that you have been actually quite thorough about this, the culture fit program that you have, and then the KPIs. It seems you have created a lot of processes, and it's helping you stay in control. So that's an amazing thing that people can do. As an entrepreneur, I tend to be a little more, I would say, unorganized, and it's a problem. So guys, if you're watching, follow Neil, emulate Neil, what he's done here. Be process oriented, and if you can define a process that quantifies everything, of course it's going to be a lot easier for you. Thanks for the tip, Neil, about that. Now I want to ask you, a lot of my channel viewers are people who are just getting started out, and they want to create a business online or even offline, and they have this thing which is preventing them to from taking the first step, or they don't know the workflow, or they don't know what to do to get started. Do you have any advice for people who are just starting out? Let's talk about tech business. It's your domain. What can they do to get an entry, to break into this, and maybe start off something long term?
So to be honest, I feel there are really only a couple of paths that you can take to make a breakthrough in the market, and I'll explain like what those paths are and what kind of person you need to be to do those. One is you can have a product that you create, you work on, and you bring to market. The other is that you build an audience first, and you just focus on nurturing the audience, building a loyal set of followers, and then you figure out the product. So if you are, let's say, a developer, or if you're someone who just likes to build stuff behind the scenes, then the first path will work for you. So you create something, and once it's ready, you can go find a partner, or you can slowly find ways to market that product that you have created, or a service for that matter as well. But then if you are more of, let's say, an extrovert, someone who is very good at social media, someone who's very good at building an audience, then focus on doing that. If product is not your forte, like I'm not a developer, for me, it was much easier to build an audience, via email marketing, via collaborating, networking with other people. I didn't do as much social media as I think I should have done, but that's the other path that you can take. So I think depending on your personality type, depending on what you like doing, what you don't like doing, you can do one of these two. And as long as you do one of these two, and as long as you get to a reasonable level, by that I mean a good product that works, that's necessary for a certain segment of audience, or an audience segment that follows you, they like you, and if you do put something together, they'll buy from you, you're in a good place. Now, time-wise, it doesn't take long. Like if you're developing, it depends on your speed of development. I mean, these days you can even white label a product, which we quite often do. So it's relatively easy. But if you're building an audience, I think that can easily be a 3 to 6 month thing. And again, depends on how frequently you put out content. Like I've seen people blowing up from nothing on TikTok. There was a case study a while ago of this lady who was teaching about Excel. And I mean, she was teaching people how to do like Excel hacks. And you think that's such a boring thing. Why would anyone care? But, she built an audience of like more than 1 million followers eventually. And she was consistently having $100,000 days. I mean, that's incredible.
Wow.
I don't have that, right? So that's incredible. More power to her. We have, like, dare I say, better products. But then she tapped into the right audience and gave them exactly what they wanted. So the point here is that there's no one answer. Well, there are two answers, but pick the path that works for you and just double down. And a lot of people tend to second guess once they get started. They're like, I've been thinking for 3 months or 6 months. I'm not rich yet. It takes a while. Like I'll give you my example. For the first year that I was working, I didn't take out any money from my business. Nothing. I put every single penny back in. I spent money on paying affiliates. I spent money on running ads. I spent money on just making partners happy, for example. After that time, I started to take some money out. And even then, it was more like $3,000, $4,000 a month. Eventually got to a point where it was like 10, 15, and that was a nice place to be. But the point is, like, you don't get there. Even in the first year, it can take 3, 4 years to get there. So a lot of people I find, I'll tell you this, like we do sometimes, we sell coaching, for example, and we ask people to fill a quick survey to ask them where they are right now and where they need to be. And I want people who are watching this to do this as well. Like if you are making 2,000 a month and your goal is within a year, I want to make 20,000 a month, it's not going to happen. Like you might hit a $20,000 a month, but that 10x increase in a year, no one does that. Like it's almost impossible to do. So I think in that sense, people should have a reasonable set of expectations and then just believe in the process. We talked about process of hiring. The process of building an audience, the process of building and marketing a product is no different. Growth happens when you experiment, but real scaling happens when you do boring things, when you just do the same thing over and over again. So I think I just like to say to people that, as long as you do something consistently over a period of time, you will see results. Just don't expect them the first time you do it.
Absolutely. I agree with that, doing the boring things. You know that I like to do the boring things myself. I'm a developer. Development is exciting in some ways, but mostly it's just very rigorous exercise. And I've been doing it for nearly 2.5 decades. And I can tell you that's the only thing that enabled me to create the business that I have myself. I know it's the similar skills for you. And I want to share another story like you shared about the lady with the Excel sheet. In our contact, I saw a guy like this just, grow from zero to become one of the top creators on YouTube. And his name is Matt Wolf. You might have heard of him. You might know him. And he started with a very, he grabbed an opportunity when the AI revolution started, when ChatGPT came out first time in the market. He just latched onto it and he created a lot of content around AI. And I watched his channel grow from 8,000 to 80,000 to nearly 1 million now. And he doesn't seem to be stopping. And I know that this is one of the most lucrative niches. And I can tell you that he's banking it hard every single day. So there are people like this all around who worked for years, because that guy worked on his channel for years before he hit that breaking point. And it has happened to a lot of people where they created something which was just the foundation of the epic story that it would be one day. And I'm sure it's the same for the Excel lady. It's the same for you. So yeah, it takes time to create something of value, and people often fail because they're not ready to grind all the time when they're still struggling to set up the foundation which would leapfrog them into the success story. So I totally agree with you here, and thanks for sharing the story about the lady with the Excel TikTok. It's a great story.
Yeah.
All right. So I know that you have a new product too coming out. I actually made a demo about the product. It's called ChatGorilla, and it's on my channel, guys. If you want to see me use the product and talk to you about it, I tell you what it does and how it helps you. You can find that video. The link is going to be in the description too, so you can take a look. But Neil, let's hear it from you. How did you get the concept? What is the problem that you're trying to solve here with this?
So one of our companies is called Gorilla AI, where one of our the key product that we have is called Content Gorilla, which is something we've had for almost 5 years now. And what it does is it helps you create long-form blog posts, right? But we realized that besides just creating blog posts, AI is of course capable of delivering much more in terms of written content. You can do Facebook posts and emails, webinar scripts, webinar outlines, everything. Like these days, you can really do everything with AI. And honestly, with ChatGPT, and to think it was about 1 year and a month ago now that it came out at the time of this recording, it was like the world has changed. The world has completely changed. Like creating this kind of content has become so much more easier. But the problem I found was using something like ChatGPT is that if I would go to it, it would still give me answers based on other celebrities or experts in the niche. So it would look at what it knew, and it would give me a webinar outline based on them or an email based on them. So I realized that, well, okay, that is useful, but I also have a decade of experience and I have a specific tone of voice. I have a specific approach and perspective on things. And I would like that to be reflected within the content that we create, creating ads, blog posts, emails, webinar scripts, whatever. So we decided to kind of take everything that we could download, our webinar slides, our emails, my video sales letters and sales pages, everything we fed into AI. And we said, okay, based on everything you know already, but also specifically this, I want you to now create material that matches my voice. That's something I would be able to use. So we basically trained up an AI on our content, so content that's proven to do until today like more than $12 million in gross sales. So we said, okay, this is everything that we have. Now, based on this, start creating new marketing material. So it became so important for us in our own company that my team was using it actively. Like my copywriters would have a couple of copywriters, they would go in and they would first ask for like positioning, like how would Neil Napier think, right, about this? So we decided that, okay, it was really good because even our team couldn't do without it. What if we could commoditize it? What if we could offer it to other people? So that's where ChatGorilla came in. So in functionality, it's in terms of how it works, it's not very different to ChatGPT. It's based on similar ideas. But number one, it's more built for teams, even like a team of 2 or 3 people that want to work together, collaborate on things. But also it's built on top of the vast knowledge base that we have, the vast knowledge base of proven campaigns, the emails, the sales pages, webinars that we have. So in that sense, if someone's using it, they're more likely to hit gold, sooner, because they will get the campaigns out of it that are proven to be more effective, and not just something that was published on Google or Twitter, because that's where the data is trained from. So the training has specifically happened based on our data. Plus, of course, if our data can't answer something, then we rely on OpenAI to do the answering.
That's amazing, Neil. Does it work for any niche, or is it targeted at a specific niche? The content that people can generate. Can I come in as a product developer? Let's say for the gardening niche, can I create a copy? Can I create data for that niche too with this?
You can, absolutely, because the fundamentals are the same. The fundamentals of an effective copy are the same, and they are reflected in our structure and how we write it. So absolutely, whatever niche you have, you can come in and you can ask questions about it. You can ask questions about like, who should I go after as a target market? What should I say to them? And it's going to tell you everything you need to know.
All right. I actually used it myself. I wrote a copy for a gardening company. It came up with data, so I can tell you, yeah, it does. This does work. And I also checked that you have some pretty generous credit systems. Like, how many credits are you giving every month? If I remember, it was 10,000, or is it more? How much is it?
So that's not every month. That is a one-time use, but that's like 10,000 messages. So when you message it one time, it's a chat system. It's basically one message. I mean, 10,000 is a lot. Like even someone in my team barely uses like 15 a day. So
yeah, I can tell you, I used about 4 messages to create a complete sales page. So 10,000 would probably last me for a lifetime, honestly.
There you go.
So yeah, that's a good number.
I mean, we do have an unlimited option as well if people wanted to take that, but and that's like at a one-time price too. But 10,000 would really be sufficient for most people.
Yeah, I think 10,000 can be good for somebody who's trying to write content for their business. They might not need to generate a lot of content every day. And if you got the unlimited option, I think can it be used to provide a service to people? Like, are you targeting those people with the unlimited option?
Yeah, we are, because of course you're right. Like in those cases, they would have to create a lot more volume. So if you're doing content services, if you're doing web designing, you can also offer web copy services on top. And again, this is the stuff that I painstakingly used to do 10 years ago, 11 years ago manually. It was difficult, but now it's just amazing that AI can create copy. And, honestly, at times it's even better than mine, how it used to be 10 years ago. So it's pretty incredible.
Right. I use a lot of AI myself, and I like to validate my ideas with AI. So if I write a copy, I will ask AI to create the similar copy on similar lines, and then I will compare the two. And often I find really, really amazing ideas in there that I just want to steal, and I do steal them often.
Yeah.
So guys, so I want to ask you, Neil, this is copyright free, right? People who use this, they don't have any problems. They can just use it without any payback or without any issues. It's all 100% copyright free, correct? They can use the content anyhow they want.
Yes, it is copyright free. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great deal. And if I'm not wrong, and in the launch, you got a launch happening pretty soon, and it will be lifetime during the launch. So people who buy this will be able to get access with a one-time price. They won't have to pay for it again. Can you tell me more about that, please?
Yeah, that is correct. So we do offer lifetime deals when we do a product launch. So I'll give you another example of ContentGorilla. We've had that for 5 years now. And only recently, I think 6 months ago, we went fully recurring on that. Otherwise, we had some sort of like one-time or lifetime plans in the funnel, but now it's like fully recurring. And we've been supporting it, updating it every few months, every month, even in certain cases, for 5 years now. So we have a good history of updating and progressing our products, and that's what we're giving with ChatGorilla too. So ChatGorilla is like the little brother of ContentGorilla, but it's something that works together as well, that you can now create like a ton of marketing content for a one-time price, and you have that for the lifetime of the software.
Do you have any plans? Do you want to share your plans? If you have anything specific that you want to share, what you're going to bring up in ChatGorilla next, what's going to come up in the app?
Yeah, so for me, like I said, initially when we started on the idea, it was more sort of built for the team, collaborating as a team. So those are things that we have paid a lot of attention to, is like how can we make the usability there easier for our team members to work together on things. But one of the key things that I'm looking forward to do as well is teaching people a lot about like prompting. So we have a dynamic prompt creator option available, so they can actually create their own prompts and save it for future use within the tool. So it's something I'll be teaching a lot about. I'll be sort of showing people how to reverse engineer something they like. So, for example, they could find a sales page they like, or an email that they like, and I'll teach them how to create similar emails for themselves using AI, but feeding in context of their own products or services. So I think in terms of product, I would say this is quite functional. It doesn't yet, in my opinion, require massive product features, but what is required is like the right kind of training to help people get the most out of it. And that's something I'll be focusing a lot on once we do bring it to market.
Yeah, and I do know that you have a lot of training already there. You are a coach, you have your own coaching program too. And all success to you. I'm sure this is going to be another great product from you. And I just want to repeat to you guys, if you want to check out ChatGorilla, there is a video on my channel that shows you how. And there is a link in this video in the descriptions where you can see actually a review of ChatGorilla, and you can see more details about it along with my special bonuses. I have a very good offer. If you pick up ChatGorilla, I'm an affiliate for it. If you pick it up, you're going to get something extra from me, and you will see that on the review page. So check it out. It's a pretty good product. I liked it, and I was able to create a sales page without any, just about 3 to 4 minutes. And even with AI, it has been taking me more than 15 to 18 minutes. So it's quite a time saver, especially if you are not a skilled copywriter. Now, Neil is a skilled copywriter. He's been doing it for nearly a decade. And I've been in the market for a while too. I have been doing a lot of copywriting myself, and only then we are able to make things happen so fast. So if you're not a skilled copywriter, this could not just be a time saver, but a lifesaver. So you can check it out on the links that I've told you about. All right, back to you, Neil. Thanks for your patience while I talk to my audience.
Absolutely.
So I know you're busy and there is a lot of work, so I'm not gonna take a lot of your time. You've shared some golden nuggets with our audience today, and I'm sure I will be happy to have you here in the future too, talking about something new, talking about a new product or a new idea, whatever you have. But let's start by you sharing something. I would like to hear maybe an idea or a story, something that can help people who are either small entrepreneurs, small business owners, because that's my audience, or somebody who wants to get started with maybe something that you can share from your own life, an incident or a story that could help them, inspire them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example here, and it's a mistake again we have made quite often in the past, and I'm only just realizing how important it is to reuse things that you have done in the past. So I was going through my archives, I was doing a regular cleanup, and I came across this ebook that I had written 5 years ago. It was about, finding book authors on Amazon, reaching out to them, and working with them to create like a course version of their book, and then working with them to create a webinar as well, and then basically offering that as a service and taking a cut or charging upfront as an agency. And this is a training that I had done 5 years ago. We had converted that into an ebook, and I had just forgotten about it. Like, it was sitting in my Asana project management tool for a while. And I was looking at it, I was like, you know what, this could actually be quite effective even now. Like, if I could just take that, put a new cover on it, it's evergreen knowledge, and I think I could like give it away for free, or I could sell it even for a few dollars. So that made me realize that there are things that I've been talking about, I've been teaching, I've been doing for the last 10, 11 years. To me, it may seem like basic knowledge because now it's like muscle memory. It's so easy to just even think about these things. But for a lot of people, that's still a new thing. That's still something they haven't thought about before. So I would encourage people to take stock of the assets that they have created over time. Like, you may think you maybe have been at this on this journey for like 1, 2, 5, 10 years, and you may think like, oh, what I did 10 years ago is just useless. Like, I don't need that anymore. I don't even need to think about it. But just take stock, go back and check. Sometimes just go explore your hard drives, and you might find stuff that you had done that could actually be even monetizable right now, that could enhance the value of whatever you're doing right now. Like, I'll give you another example here. I had done, I think again, like 7 years ago, I had done a training on how I do my task management on a daily basis. Like, on a weekly basis, I plan, on a daily basis, I I execute them, and it's something I'd recorded as a video. And given the camera definitions back then were not very good, so it's like kind of pixelated. I look very different, I look much younger. But I realized I could still take that video and offer as a bonus to people and get new eyeballs in it. People would find use from it, but also would enhance the value of whatever it is I'm doing right now. So I think it's to our own demise that we don't look back sometimes. Like, I'm not saying look back to kind of like reminisce, but look back to use what you have created in the past and see if you can bring it, if you can modernize it somehow, because that will cut down the time needed to create content, to create products, and it could be very, very useful. So that's something I'd encourage everyone to do once in a while.
I do agree here. And I can tell you that it's been more than once when I have gone to an old idea and been able to readapt it to the market, create a new product with the same niche or the same concept or the same APIs, and just bring it to the market and make money all over again. So yeah, I totally agree. That has happened to me too. Golden tip there, Neil. Thanks for sharing it. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you talking to my audience, and wish you the best for ChatGorilla. Hope you just hit it out of the park again. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, this was Neil Napier with Cyril Jeet. I'll see you next time on Jeet Talks to People. Bye-bye.